Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Now, before we get to my field report, my producer Ryan loves to get out and do some fishing too. Him and his father have been doing that forever. And this week they actually took a little bit of time and headed south. They went down to Crane Prairie to target trout. Now, it turns out to be one of Ryan's father's favorite place, and I would assume Ryan's as well. Right, Ryan? One of your favorite places? I'm going to get him a microphone, everybody. One of these days, I'm going to have a microphone and a camera in there. That's the way it needs to be. We'll get there. We'll get there. But they went down, did some plunking with worms, right? No, nothing else special, no power bait, nothing like that. Just worms is what he's saying, everyone. But here's a couple of photos of being successful down there on the bank at Crane Prairie. It says that there was a few boats that were out there. Were they catching, Ryan? It didn't look like it. He said that maybe they were doing better than the others that were out there, but it looks like he got some nice quality fish. What's the next one? Okay, there it is. That's the stringer with his ProCure sweatshirt on. Repping while you're down south. I love it. Good job. But there you go. So some very good opportunities down there. Not to say that if Ryan got them, you can catch them, but they're trout, right? You got to be there in order to catch them. So if you're further south, you've got some options that are out there, let alone up here. Now, we'll get to my report in a second, but when you're talking about fishing, there's no doubt that it's the end of October, right? You can't argue that. So it's that time. Main stem Columbia, pretty much done. But decent fishing is still to be had up by Bonneville Dam. That's where I would be, as y'all know, if you've paid attention since forever now. That is about the best place to be if you want to stay below Bonneville, is get as close to that mountain or that wall as you possibly can. Now, the question has been, where am I going to find some silvers, let alone tributaries, which is now going to become a real thing. We're going to talk with Carly Olson here in a minute. We've got a bunch of rain that's on the way that's going to change the tributaries significantly. But if you're going to be fishing on the Columbia, it's the Klickitat and some of the other mouths upriver that you have those opportunities. And that's going to fish all the way into December, depending on conditions and hopefully a little bit of luck. But that's a couple of places that you can still spend your time, let alone paying attention to what's happening on the coast. Things are not awesome by any means. We'll get a live report from Big Dave here in a little bit from the North Coast, but it seems like if you go a little bit further south, the most consistent reports that I'm getting, and forgive me for those that don't want to share the wealth, the Siletz has been very, very productive. Now, all the fisheries down there have been productive, but nothing, what I say, is red hot by any means. Now, that being said, things are going to change quickly. We'll get to river levels here in a bit, but things are going to change very quickly when we get a bunch of water coming into the area. If you are in that mode, some of the tributaries could get interesting. You either be from the bank, maybe a pontoon like you just saw in one of the viewer photos, drift boat, whatever it might be. Some of those things are certainly going to come into play, so kind of keep those on the radar. My report, though, y'all know me. All I care about is ducks, especially this time of year. That's all I did this week. Other than getting mods done on the duck boat, getting this and that situated with it, but yet not enough water to really do much. Covering ground, trying to find birds, very, very frustrating. It's still the same thing as the last week's report, no water. It doesn't matter if it's on managed land or just general public land. There's just no water. Now, that looks like that might change. Hopefully, that's the case. We'll see how it goes throughout this upcoming week. But I was at least able to get a couple of hunts, but I only took one photo because it's not that you have to shoot a limit, but when you're trying as hard as I've been since this opened, you know, 2 birds here, 3 here, whatever, yes, okay. I enjoy any time to talk to a mallard. Favorite thing in the whole world. A day or two ago, I was actually able to talk to some mallards. I should have had 5, but I've only got 3 here. A little bit of a dirty bag, but I don't care. It's first limit of the year. Drago was super excited too, and it's hard to tell in that photo, but you can see that he's looking off into the distance because in the background, there are birds landing right where my decoys were. So encouraging, right? Always the optimist if you're a waterfowler, and it seems like we're on the right track as far as birds showing up. Now just cross your fingers that water is here to keep them here. We can't do anything about it. You got to do the best that you can. River levels, or fish counts. Let's take a look at the fish counts. You can see they're certainly winding down. Absolutely normal, the 10-year average. One of the reasons why you won't see the fish counts here going forward. We'll keep them in this weekend, but as things progress, We'll probably drop the river level, or excuse me, the fish counts like we do each year. But still, good enough numbers heading over Bonneville that it will keep you very interested up in those areas where those fish are going to hang out before they work their way up into the tributaries. So there's certainly some options to be had out there. You don't have to put the boat away yet. You can still certainly put some fish in the boat. Let's take a look at river levels. Columbia, it is showing a bounce. I'm super excited to see that. I would really love to see these tides start to level out. If you're like me and you pretty much hunt everywhere that you can go, water is very, very important. So it'll be nice to have a little bit of water to play around with. Might get you a little bit closer to cover, depending on the areas that you like to spend your time, lower, upper, wherever it might be, east side, west side. It's good to have water coming in, so let's just hope that this continues. Bonneville, they're staying consistent. This is one of the reasons why that fishing up there right now is holding on pretty well. We've talked about it enough in the last week or two. Certainly some good options there. You're going to start seeing some of the tributaries get bounces. I'll be interested. I did not look at the coast, but here in the valley, you know, 1.5 foot bounce is kind of nice, a foot bounce. Taking a look at the Wilson, is a little bit ahead of schedule, which is always a good thing. It is forecasted to get into the 4s. Not necessarily a blowout, but it's still enough of it's enough stink in the system to get some fish to move through. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Slets, same thing. Alcee, same thing. You're going to start seeing things will change. Now, is it always going to be for the better? No. But the potential is there to see some improvement, especially in the bays before the fish make their way up. Or if you're like me and you like to fish in the tribs, things could get interesting here this week. Just cross our fingers that that actually happens. But you want to have some good scent, you want it for free, send my buddy Jason Hambley over there at ProCure, jason@procure.com. You'll be entered in to win a Steelhead Pro Pack, and it is, well, of course, usable for a number of different things, but every Monday they pick a winner, and you will be notified that Monday morning. He sends me that every Monday morning, like clockwork. He does actually work, everyone. He just doesn't fish every single day. Maybe. Okay, let's go ahead and check in with Carly Olson to find out what this rain's going to do. Now, you got me excited. All morning, of course, like everybody else here in Oregon and Washington, we're watching you. We got a lot of rain coming.
We do. Yes, I was delighted to share this with you. Today is just a little bit of a preview of what we'll see for the rest of the week, because today we'll have some lighter rains. If you stepped outside or even looked outside, you certainly noticed that cloud cover. You certainly noticed some moisture on the ground, and that will remain throughout the day, unless you live in Eastern Oregon. Those folks are getting some sunny skies, temperatures in the 70s. Those of us here in Portland are getting temperatures in the low to mid 60s, and similar story over on the coast as well. But that all changes tonight, because the first of a couple of back-to-back systems is going to hit us this evening. That will bring with it about 1/2 inch of rain to the Portland area itself. Those rains and showers, rather, will continue throughout the day tomorrow, and then tomorrow evening we will see yet another low pressure system hitting us, and that will bring some overnight showers as well as showers throughout the day on Monday, as well as some chances for some thunderstorms. So you might just see some lightning, might hear some thunder as well. And Tuesday will be the first kind of break that we will see from those heavier rains. We should still see some lighter rains at that point, but it's not going to be anything compared to tomorrow and Monday. So today is going to be our warmest day of the week. We'll have some of those lighter showers before those heavier showers roll through on Sunday and Monday. Tuesday, we will have a bit of morning rain that should taper off as the morning goes on, but Wednesday through Friday, look at that, even more rain and temperatures in the 50s. So if you like fall weather, this is the week for you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Does that get us much closer to our average rainfall for October?
It certainly will. At this point in time, we're about 1.25 inches, and our average is about 3.5 inches. But this next week should bring about 1.5 to 2 inches in Portland itself. So we might just make it.
Oh, I love it. Carly, thank you as always. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, everyone, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have the folks in from ODFW. We're going to talk with Jared Goodwin. He is the state coordinator of hunter education. And if you're like me, you might have a young one around, right? If you're not, maybe you've got friends that you can explain how this process works. It's very simple in the end, but if we can kind of take down some of those walls, make it something that you're excited about, it's certainly something that you need to do. We'll be back with that in just a couple of minutes.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.